So, good afternoon, everybody. I was told that everybody is going to be feeling very sleepy. तो थोड़ा इसको कुछ कीजिए, कुछ मसाला लगा के so that सब उठे रहें, जगे रहें. So, we have a very interesting panel to discuss the journey from low to high, low rise to high rise. That's what you call it, right? And we'll have a discussion, so we won't have our panel go to the mic over there and give you a presentation. That gets a little tiresome at times and a little uninteresting. So we'll just have a, kind of a chat amongst ourselves, and we'll involve you all also in the entire discussion. So it becomes a little more interactive and more exciting. So let me start with introducing you to the panel. We have Mr. Sahil. He is the Vice Chairman of Lotus Greens, and he's been in the real estate for a very, very long time. So he's a very strong authority on real estate. So we'll ask him some nice questions. Prashant, my friend, is the MD of Chintels. Chintels is doing a lot of development in Gurgaon, and they're the biggest landowners of Gurgaon. तो हम तो उनको साहूकार बुलाते हैं, हमारे जमींदार साहब हैं हमारे. Then we have Vineet. Vineet is running a company called Sare. Sare does housing primarily, and I think in Gurgaon, anybody, and in Ghaziabad, anybody who's been hunting for a house in these areas knows Sare, and they are well backed financially. They're actually a fund which is now into real estate development. Vineet is heading that for quite a while now, and he's been very, very visible in all our CREDAI initiatives, and wherever there's something to do with real estate, we pull out Vineet and we take his pearls of wisdom. Then Mr. Shaktinath, my dear friend, he's the chairman of the Logix Group from Noida, and he's done a lot of office space. In fact, he's the one who started office space in Noida, and now he's into townships and developing sports cities and a lot of other residential projects. ये भी हमारे जमींदार हैं, हम इनसे जमीन लेते हैं जाके जब भी जरूरत होती है हमको. Of course, we have Mr. Neeraj Sharma. He's from Kone. He's the MD of Kone Elevators, and I think anybody who's lived in a high-rise knows a few brands. पहले सिर्फ Otis होता था. Now there's Kone, there's Schindler, and also Otis. It sounds good like that? Kone का सबसे पहले नाम लिया मैंने. Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, the topic is from low to high. I think most of us sitting here have lived in a high-rise. Can we have some, by a show of hands, who all have lived in a high-rise, so we know only one person? No, lots of them. Oh, okay, but not too many, huh? So there has been a transition. It started in Mumbai, this flat apartment culture, जिसको हम बोलते थे, from low-rise to people preferred staying in an apartment complex because it has amenities. So I'll start with Vineet. Vineet, did you face challenges in Gurgaon, initially when and especially UP, जब आपने शुरू किया? Did you think that you faced challenges because pulling people out from, Punjabi culture in the north, especially, you want your own koti and you don't want to stay in a flat, it's for the poor people. That's how we used to think. That's what I thought people in Punjab thought. But we have a lot of North Indians over here. That is the mentality. Was that a challenge really when you started your high-rise developments here in UP and in Haryana and Gurgaon?
I'll talk about myself.
Switch that on.
Sorry. So being a Punjabi, I think I also had that attitude. I used to live in a koti. And I used to think, यार ये apartment में कौन रह सकता है? I don't even understand. These Mumbai walas live there for some odd reason.
And the poor people of the north.
हाँ, मतलब I don't want to say that, but flat में तो गरीब लोग रहते हैं.
Punjabis think like that. Flat में तो गरीब लोग रहते हैं.
I used to actually think like that, and we've been staying in a koti all our life. But I think 2010 I shifted into an apartment. Because we started developing at Sare Homes. We started the Ghaziabad project 2008 when we actually went out, did our feasibility. And we did notice that there was a preference to low-rise. Generally people were not pretty much happy when you said that, we're going to go in a suburb location specifically and give you a high-rise. So one of the key initiatives which we did was that because luckily we had global FSIs everywhere. So pan India, all phase ones of Sare Homes, which is from Amritsar to Chennai, Indore, Panvel, everywhere is a low rise. It's a still plus 4 structure. And the way we scaled our project, we said because the biggest challenge was people said high rise okay, but then it's got to be a very prime location. I'm not going to go 20-30 kilometers out and then you're going to give me a high rise there. That's not going to work for me. One of the key USPs I think we had was that we'll give you a low rise with a lift. So that really worked for us, and I think yes, there was a huge reference. But if we speak about it today I think there has been a drastic shift. I don't think we're doing low rise or even mid rises anywhere. We are all high rise everywhere. Yes, infras have increased everywhere, but basically I think there's been a shift and it's gradually going purely into high rise. Today I think as a company we have a policy not to do any plotted developments. We have actually so far not even done one we had historically which we are wanting to convert. Chennai was very interesting. We converted an entire plotted approved development into a group housing. We actually convinced the government to give us a specific approval where we made strips of apartments, and it was the highest seller product in 2010 on the OMR in Chennai. So I think yes, what you're saying is absolutely right, and we worked around it to get the maximum benefits.
So it was a challenge. So basically, Sahil, I'll put this to you. When we asked for a show of hands, I think 30-40% people raised their hand. बहुत बढ़िया opportunity है. काफी customer तो यहीं बैठे हैं. 60% हमारे high rise में लाने के लिए. So you've been in the industry, in real estate for quite a while. Do you see a shift now? Still, it's surprising that a lot of people are still not moving out of the low rise culture and moving to high rise after so many years, after seeing so many good developments come up. It is still, there's some limiting thing. What is it? Why is it that they're still not coming into the high rise condo thing? What do you think is the reason? How can we turn them and bring them on?
I think they are all very rich people who are living in apartments.
Rich North Indians who don't want to shift in apartments. Huh?
But to be honest, if you look at South Delhi also, now that's getting converted into apartments. A lot of people are selling.
But what is the value over there? मतलब वो plot में 500 गज के plot
I'm
में.
just trying to talk about the mindset and the shift in the mindset. Bulk of the population today, and I was reading some statistics sometimes back, and the population of NCR is about 25 million people. Can you hear me? Okay.
Yeah, I think you can get the mic a little closer.
And I was reading that the population of Australia is 28 million. And if you put the same density in Australia as of NCR, then there would be 8 billion people living in Australia. With a country of our size and the population that we have, I don't think we have a choice.
We don't. I'll give them figures. Out in the whole world, the landmass of India is only about 2.3%, and we have 17% of the whole population of the world. These are the numbers.
So when you look at these stats, Gitambar, and you rightly said that the culture started in Bombay because they didn't have a choice in any case.
They were landlocked.
But last 6-7 years, I think the tipping point came across the country. It's not just NCR, where we started seeing people moving into apartments. But we started seeing this culture happening across at least the top 8 cities across the country. And I think the reason is that people realized, firstly, there's a shift in the social fiber as well. So earlier we all used to live, when I grew up, I grew up in a koti myself. But I lived with a joint family, in a joint family. Now that culture has also changed to a large extent. A lot of people are living in nuclear families. And the demands and the requirements of a nuclear family is different. There are 2 people, most of them are working. They may have 2 small kids. Looking after a big house also becomes a problem. So a lot of people by choice are also moving into apartments, good quality apartments. They are looking at luxury if they can afford it. But they would rather live there because the security, maintenance, most of the other things are taken care of by the developers or the maintenance agencies. And they feel that there is a community living, there is a place for them to spend their free time. There's good social infrastructure. The kids can have good company. There are lawns, parks, playgrounds, etc., which are there in the community living. So those things, I don't think people are compromising in this shifting from, let's say, living in kotis into apartments. I think in some cases, people don't have a choice, but they have adopted, apartment living. In some cases, they are now moving towards apartment living wherever it's possible because of the reasons that I've just mentioned.
So I'll ask you, Prashant. See, you also have a lot of land in Gurgaon, and Lotus Greens is also doing low-rise development with high-rise. So I'll ask you a difficult question. Given that you believe in high-rise, I'm sure you do. But you're doing with Shobha, you're doing a low-rise development. So had you had the opportunity to do a high-rise over there, would you guys have still done a low-rise or would you have done a high-rise? This international city जो आप शोभा के साथ कर रहे हैं.
Well, okay. I think firstly, I'm a big believer of high-rise development, and I think that is the way that we have to move, given the kind of problems we have in land acquisition and cost of land. It is definitely the way forward. But at the same time, I also believe that you do have to give people a choice. So to make a development complete, in a sense, you need a mix of high-rise and low-rise. So to answer your question, I think that given that particular situation at that time, maybe that was the right move at that time. But yeah, I would definitely think that high-rise developments is better.
But you feel they should be given a choice. So I want to ask the audience: is there anybody from Mumbai over here? Anybody? So why don't you tell us? Can we have a mic, please? No mic. Do we have a mic for the audience? Please arrange. So I'll come back to you. Shakti, you're doing these lovely sports cities in Noida, and considering the what would I say? Like Prashant says that we must give them a choice of low rise and high rise. Considering that you have low density development happening, do you think that there is still a very large audience for low rise in, let's say, Noida? You can take this one.
See, ultimately, what our friends already said, high-rise is the need of the hour. When you are planning a township or a complex, typically what we have done in 25 acres or more, the infrastructure and the services that you can create in a high-rise, you can give more. Even if the ground coverage is say 50%, you can go for low-rise or a medium kind of a height there. But if you go say cover 18% or 20%, you can leave much larger green areas for the people. Today, what is
and it is very much more expensive to do a high rise than a low rise. As a developer,
definitely.
It costs us much more to do a high rise than a low rise.
The higher you go, it's more expensive.
Yeah.
But definitely, if you see quality of life, the quality of people, those who live there, their lifestyle changes dramatically when you go do high rise, because you leave almost 75-80% green areas. And today, your kids, everybody is living in a nuclear families. Your kids are going down to play. Your old people, when they're staying in those complexes, they're jogging, they're walking tracks or jogging tracks, and like typically all the developers are doing today. I think, I personally feel from now onwards, whatever our ancestors have done, they have acquired plots and people have lived in houses, not only in North India, but all across country, whether you go to Bangalore, Chennai and Bombay also, you have posh areas there. But gradually what is going to happen is high-rise is the need of the hour, because land is very, very scarce. Even if you go on the outskirts, when you're going for say 10, 20, 30 kilometers out of the city, still the land is very expensive. So it is more prudent for you to go for high-rise, exhaust complete density, complete your FAR, go for a very good high-end apartments where people get the quality of life they really deserve. If you're in a low-rise apartment, you can't create a lot of green area. You still live like a bungalow and all that. So your security, definitely yes, there are major challenges right now in India to create high-rise, and the most important of them is the fire mechanism. The infrastructure with the fire departments are not foolproof. You talk of any city, whether it's Mumbai, we see incidents happening every other day in different parts of the country. So I think high-rises, yes, there are challenges, but definitely with the time to come, the challenges will be taken care of by the developers and the government itself. And the quality of life that you can really get in a high-rise is far better than that you can plan.
So Mr. Shaktinath feels that high-rise are the need of the hour, but a lot of our friends over here say, "नहीं, हम तो अभी भी low-rise अपने कोठी मकान में रहेंगे." So I'll bring in our friend from Mumbai. You will put us, in a better light and put things in perspective. My question to you is very simple. If in Mumbai, are you staying in a condo in Mumbai? You're staying in a high-rise apartment?
Yeah, I stay.
So my question to you is, that if you were given a choice in Mumbai to move out of that condo into a bungalow, low-rise, maybe, or maybe one floor of a bungalow, or maybe your own bungalow, would you shift with your children and family?
Yeah, it's a very odd question actually.
It's an odd question.
Actually, so
it's a very important question. It puts things in perspective, but
see here, because the culture is like that, you know, from earlier it was maybe see 8-10 years back it was 12-15 story. Now everybody is talking something 35 above only.
No. My question is, would you shift from that living, whether it's 10, 12, 30, 40, 50, would you shift if today you were offered, okay, leave this, you're getting a bungalow in Mumbai, in a nice area, or maybe a floor in a bungalow, would you leave that with your wife and children and shift, leave that? I'll stay in a bungalow.
I think it's different because culturally we have adopted that, and because
so there's a culture.
Culture.
There's a high-rise living culture. Can you tell us what that culture is?
Yeah, because in say with societies in complex, in the like you know maybe 15 story or 30 story, 50 story. So yeah, the entire society, like a lot of people they stay. There is a society is being formed. There's a clubhouse. There are amenities within the complex. So coming people are used to those kind of kind of lifestyle. So prefer that before staying alone, like you know, with one kind of
isolated
condo,
in one
as an isolated person. People will not feel in Mumbai at least to shifting that. But when we come to the north, definitely I love to stay in those kind of area. But
no, you won't have to because you have condos here also. There's a culture here. It's only that it's getting more acceptable now.
Exactly.
So your answer is no. You would not stay.
No, definitely no.
Please hear that. 50% of the people who didn't raise their hands about condos. Yes, you wanted to say something? We'll come back to you. Let me first give the panel a chance to put their thoughts to you. Sorry? My view. I am totally with him. Absolutely. Because in a bungalow, I live in a bungalow because it's a compulsion, you know, I have to live. It is, believe you me, but my wife has told me that after 5 years you have to move to an apartment. If I had small children, and I would love to live in an apartment complex, because if I was living in this bungalow, agar mere bachcho ko cycle bhi chalana hota, they would go and cycle on the road where there's cars. I would always be, you know, scared to death कि पता नहीं कहीं accident ना हो जाए, मत जाओ बेटा बाहर cycle चलाने. वो football खेलना है या cricket खेलना है, you go to the neighbor's house or you go to a park. You know, every colony does not have a park. So, given a choice, and I have already made plans to shift to an apartment, maybe down the line in the next 4 or 5 years. I will definitely, and not because we make them, it's because what he said is true. There's a sense of community living in these condos, you know. There's a sense of oneness and belonging. I've been to my complexes where they celebrate Diwali together. It's something to be seen. It's like, you know, it's like one big family and they're all into each other's houses, gifts, but it's so nice. You can't खा रहे हैं एक दूसरे घर में खाने, पकवान आ रहे हैं इसके घर से उसके घर में. Suppose there are 500 apartments, there are 500 people who make that family. So it's a different experience. And the kids, they have so many friends. I know when kids come from school, they go up to their apartment, and their mothers have told me this. They say they come up, they change, and then they go down. I said, where do they go down? Do you know where they go? नहीं, वो नीचे खेलने जाते हैं. तो हमने पूछा, आपको टेंशन नहीं है वो किसके साथ खेल रहे हैं, कहीं मतलब इधर बाहर नहीं चले जाएं, कहीं चोट वोट ना लग जाए? कोई वरी नहीं है, बिकॉज ये सारा सिक्योर है. नीचे खेल रहे हैं और सारे कॉलोनी के ही बच्चे हैं और कोई गाड़ी का कोई डर नहीं, एक्सीडेंट होने का डर नहीं. मतलब बिल्कुल अगर हम नहीं नीचे तो कोई ना कोई है बुजुर्ग नीचे जो देख रहा है, ऐसे ही घूमते घुमाते कोई बच्चा शरारत ना कर दे. सो इट्स दे डोंट इवन बॉदर. They are concerned, but they are not worried that their children might, you know, hurt themselves or get lost or, you know, be kidnapped. Now that's another extreme, but that is also something. So this thing it's hugely beneficial to live in an apartment complex. Am I right? So I'll ask Neeraj, you know, see, all very well, we've been talking about high-rise apartments, and they have inherent risks, like Mr. Shaktinath just said. You know, there are high-rise, there are issues of firefighting, etc., etc. My question, Neeraj, you know what problem we faced? When we started the first high-rise in Noida, this was in 98. People would say, हमको first floor का दे दो, second floor का दे दो, थर्ड फ्लोर में मत जाए, नहीं जाएंगे हम, उससे ऊपर नहीं जाएंगे. क्यों? वो लिफ्ट अगर खराब हो गई तो यू नो फिर कौन सीढ़ी चढ़ेगा 10 फ्लोर का. हाउ ट्रू इज इट? आई मीन लिफ्ट खराब होने के जो चांस है, you know, I feel that we've evolved to technology has evolved to a stage where we needn't worry about such things. how has the elevator industry evolved over the past decade and a half or maybe 2 decades so that this perception in my customer's mind goes कि यार मेरे को शायद लिफ्ट नहीं चल रही होगी तो मुझे 10 माला या 20 माला चढ़ के जाना होगा.
Yeah, thanks. Actually, the lift technology has quite evolved. We have a company called Olympus.
Because we used to see this in the movies, no?
जी.
वो आया अंदर रोज बोर्ड out of order lift के बाहर लटका रहता था. So that perception is still there, in the north especially. And we are doing projects in Punjab. They say यार 7 फ्लोर के ऊपर तो मतलब ही नहीं है जाने का. What is pretty 7 floors, 8 floor? No way. Lift तो चलेगी नहीं. First thing is lift तो चलेगी नहीं.
That's true.
Yeah.
Actually, the mindset has completely changed. Just to add to the thing. Firstly, say Mumbai, the average height of the floor 3 years ago was 30. I'm saying average. Now it's 20.
Oh.
In Chennai, it was 6. Now it's 8. If you take Hyderabad, it was 5. Now it's 7.
Okay.
So means in 3 years, you had almost a 30% differential in the height. I'm talking about average. They are tall buildings.
Okay.
Today in Mumbai, we are doing buildings which are 370 meters tall, 100 meters tall. Now coming to your question is that lift, how safe it is. I think the key thing about the lift is safety first. And then is the call out rates. We measure call out rates. So how is the
Call out rates? So you have to tell them what that is.
Call out rates is how many times in a year you have to ask for maintenance. Means not routine maintenance, but you make a call that something has gone wrong in the lift. I think all the manufacturers are conscious about this. They are ensuring more reliability and making sure that the call out rates comes. You see, coming back to some of the discussion which the panelists have said, there are 2 areas which are going to drive high-rise and where you need efficient transport, vertical transport, safe and efficient. One is urbanization and one is demographic change. These are the 2 main things. Urbanization in China and India in 1980, we were both around 20%.
Okay.
You know what China is today? It's become 50%. We are at 30%. As people move into cities, more and more people are going to move into cities, and there are going to be more cities, more than 10 million people in the next coming years.
That's a compulsion.
It's a compulsion,
हाँ.
whether you like it
वो
or
तो है,
not.
we understand
like
that.
The
We are
other
saying-
is the other is the demographic change.
Yeah.
The middle class is rising.
Yeah.
So you have more disposable income. So these were the 2 things I just wanted to add my view on some of the panelists what they said.
Yeah.
On the elevator technology, again
The
innovation.
most important part of the building is the elevator.
Absolutely, and that is why there's constant innovation.
So what's new? What new things are coming up? For safety, for better performance, for maintenance.
Every component of the elevator is going through a transformation. Whether you call it doors. Now, if the lift suddenly stops, you have an automatic rescue device. I was just telling Sahil, this
ARD.
is common now.
Yeah.
You don't
comes
sell a
to the
lift.
lower-
It comes to the lower floor. Everyone does it. It's not. If you talk about, high-rise buildings, we've just invented the ultra rope. The Kingdom Tower in Saudi Arabia is 1 kilometer tall. Light carbon fiber rope is innovation. From a geared machine, it become a gearless machine. You don't need a machine room on top. You can put your machine in the shaft. You have more ability and safety to open doors. You just put one finger, the lift should actually,
The door should open again.
should open again.
Yeah.
So every aspect of the component of the lift is changing to make sure that safety is. The only problem is we don't have a regulatory today across India.
For
Some
the
states-
elevator
For
industry.
the elevator.
I was coming to that.
Punjab doesn't have it. Haryana doesn't. Rajasthan doesn't have it. There's no regulation, and each elevator is managed by their own state electricity board. In Maharashtra, PWD. So it's like the codes, and those are still not uniform. And I believe that we have to move towards that to make sure that lifts are safer and people feel safe in the elevators.
This is very important because I remember, Shakti and Vineet, you guys are doing high rise, and Sahil and Prashant. When we started out, when we floated a tender for elevators, there were people who were actually getting parts from Mumbai, something from here and something from here, putting it together in Delhi and giving us a very cheap elevator. So how do you stop that from, you said there's no regulator. So how do we as developers know who not to give these orders to and who to give these orders? How do we differentiate?
It's out of sheer experience.
That's
If you're a developer, see, the point is, today where there's no regulation, such fly-by-night operators will exist. But most of the companies which you mentioned are pretty, I would say, pretty strong in this conviction about that. They will not.
They stick to standards. They're self-governed.
So that is why the unorganized sector in elevators only 15%. 85% is the organized sector where you have some trust on the elevator company.
Yeah.
You know, whether it's one of these brands where you know these people will be reliable, they'll be not cutting corners here. But you can't stop those fly-by-night operators to put components together and continue. So I think this putting the codes by the government and putting a regulatory by the government will go a long way in enhancing safety and also efficient transportation.
Great. So Shakti, I'll ask you this. So you have these vast tracts of land which you own. Given a choice, don't you dream sometimes that I should like Dubai, I should make only a villa development, you know, with a golf course and low rise?
See, but ultimately it's a project. You know, you have to design or conceive a project as such. You know, so there are low rises. Yes, definitely. That's
just villas like Dubai.
See, like,
there are a lot of developments which are doing just villas, but they are priced.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It depends on your location, your cost of land. What is the cost of? You see, there are two things. One is a necessity. One is the financial planning as a developer. So if you know, I'm not saying that any developer will just develop high rise for the heck of it. It's a planning that how much yield you can get out of a low rise or a high rise. But what the discussion was basically initially what you started was that is the high rise there going to stay or what is the flavor of the current situation. So what I'm saying is definitely yes, low rises, townships, villas, they will stay definitely because they're part of the larger framework.
But down the line they'll be very expensive.
Down the line it is going to be very, very expensive. There are drawbacks like what other people have already mentioned. Security, your green areas, open areas, your rest of the infrastructure facilities are far better in high rises today, whatever, any developer you name it, anybody who's developing Pan NCR or any part of the country, those high rises are state of the art and everybody, to my mind, everyone is using state-of-the-art elevators and fire equipment.
They're using the best because if they have to stay in the market, if they have to stay in the race.
Yeah, from the safety point of view, I think anybody who's buying a high-rise apartment need to be absolutely comfortable in mind that yes, the material and the systems that have gone into making all that is foolproof. I don't think any developer of even a smallest possible repute will ever use any substandard or a local elevator or any other equipment for that matter. But it's like I said, it's the high rise is the flavor of the.
It's a necessity. Even
it's a necessity.
Vinit, are you making any low-rise developments in the NCR anywhere?
See, I think what we've done some floors.
Where in Gurgaon?
In Ghaziabad. But I'll tell you why.
By floors you mean what? Like G plus what?
G plus 2.
They're popular, very, very popular. Sahil, you guys also doing some floors. They're more popular than your high-rise apartment, is it?
To an extent, yes, because again, the density over there is lower than the apartment density. So especially people who are migrating from Delhi.
The demand for floors is more than apartments, you feel?
See, again, it depends upon the price point. The floors would be more expensive than a regular apartment.
So the guy has to pay more for a floor?
That's right. Because again, the density, if you look at the density, then when you're making apartments, then you can consume more density.
Of course, yeah.
And when you're making floors, then it's less density. So you price it accordingly as well.
Sorry, Vinit. No. So then
so basically, what we've done is at places because one of the biggest issues which comes in the projects is ticket size. So what we've done at places, the ticket size to be kept nominal. Sometimes it's viable to do floors because you can save on a whole lot of cost. The only underlining factor there is that you got to have a global FAR on a larger piece of land so that you could subsidize the FAR in a way. But yes, having done that, Ghaziabad, there's always a shortage. We are always out of stock on floors.
On floors?
Yes, apartments we always have stock. So there is
because that's the psyche of the north. Yeah. Basically, Neeraj, I know people would rather climb 2 floors of stairs to live in a floor than take an elevator in a 10-story building to go to the second floor. This psyche, this has to change, and we will definitely, as developers, work on it. And your international city, I mean, today, would you agree that it is Gurgaon anyway is not affordable, but this is a fairly higher price product than an apartment?
Yeah, I would agree with that.
It is, but it's a gated complex nonetheless.
It's a gated complex.
So again, then if we look at a pyramid, so to speak,
Yeah.
then the international city product would come on a higher edge than, let's say, the apartments that are being done in Gurgaon by yourself.
Yeah. But let me just add to what you're saying. I think the kind of projects that are being developed today all over, they're very services oriented, and there's an element of hospitality also. In fact, I would even say that you could say that modern projects today, you could call them kind of like a quasi hospitality sort of a thing, where you have everything under one roof. You have services, you have sporting facilities, retail facilities. So I think, in answer to your question, of course, high-rises are the need of the hour, but it also depends on, even if it's a low-rise development, it depends on the kind of services and the kind of security and safety components that you factor in. I think in this discussion, another thing that why high-rises are preferred today, I think, is also the element of safety and security. Apart from the community, it's also, you feel safer being in a place where you have several people living and you have external security.
There are various advantages.
Especially as you grow older. I mean, we have cases in Delhi, a lot of cases where senior citizens have been murdered in low-rise homes. So I think all these things, it adds to the whole mental comfort of a person to live in a place where you have all these things under one roof.
And in a lighter vein, let me tell the ladies, high rise में maids बड़े आराम से मिल जाती हैं. खूब सारी होती हैं. They keep coming from one house to the other. There's an abundance of domestic help in high rise.
Can I just one more thing? As I was talking to Neeraj earlier, I think lifts today are as important as any other, and possibly the most important element in a
I think firefighting also is very important.
Firefighting also,
very extremely important.
But I think firefighting is still a little bit invisible. Like, when you walk in, you don't really notice which company is the firefighter equipment from, but you do notice lifts right away. And I think that no matter how nice your building is, if you don't have a lift which you think is safe, you would never want to go back into that building. And I'm telling you from experience, because I unfortunately have gotten stuck in a lift a couple of times, and it's a terrible experience.
What brand was it?
That I won't tell you. But I can just tell you one thing: it's not his brand. So
it's your lucky day, Neeraj.
I already checked that out.
Yeah, great. Oh, that's why. So how much time do we have? Can anybody from CII tell us how much time we have? Because I'd like to involve the audience in the discussion now. 10 minutes? Okay. So I would like to know from the audience, somebody living in Delhi who's living in a low rise, thinking of moving to a high rise, but not being able to make that decision. जाऊं नहीं जाऊं, यहीं रहूं, वहीं कोई है ऐसा? Oh, okay, a friend here. Can we have the mic, please? You're living in a low rise? Okay. We'll come to you, sir. Would you like to say something too? After him. Okay.
I'm Varun Khurana.
Your name? Sorry, I didn't get it.
Varun Khurana.
Varun Khurana. Yeah, Varun, tell us.
I've been to ATS Greens also. But one thing I would like to tell you, when I go through the list of developers in Delhi, Unitech, DLF, Bombay, I know Hiranandanis, all of them live in bungalows. None of them live in high rise. That is one.
I told you, there are certain compulsions. We can't live in our own complex. मैं नल का ही ठीक करता रहूँगा सबके.
Second, I live in Vasant Kunj, which is a DDA colony, and a lot of times we contemplated shifting to Gurgaon, to a high rise. But the problem is, one is distance, traffic jams, and some facilities which in Delhi you have law and order, infrastructure. One thing which we don't realize in Gurgaon is most of Gurgaon is on DG sets, so polluted air, and facilities like Sirifort Sports Complex, very difficult to have them in Gurgaon.
So you're living in Delhi, and the difficult part is you don't want to move out of Delhi. But my question is, if there was a high rise in Delhi, would you?
I would love to. I would love to. But I think there's the regulation does not permit to have high rise in South Delhi.
No. South Delhi is very expensive. Only some people can live in the high rise in South Delhi, because जब वो आएगा तो Vineet, what are you saying?
See, I'll tell you my case. I had a similar case. I was in South Delhi, right? And I have small children. Delhi में this, what you talk about things like amenities and all, Gurgaon We have a swimming pool there. There's a club there. Delhi, there was a challenge getting a swimming pool, getting a club membership.
You don't get the permit.
Nothing. You don't get anything. You just to get a membership is challenge in South Delhi.
Yeah.
And then when you talk about infrastructure and all, see, I mean, you're working, right? Do you have time to go back home and check generator on karna hai, off karna hai, diesel on karna hai? I live in an apartment 4 years now, but I don't even know bijli generator se aa rahi hai, kahan se aa rahi hai. Yes, there is a minimal charge which you actually calculate works out cheaper than what we used to spend in Delhi. In terms of having a bijli wala, having a security guard, having a safai, there's
Plumber,
a whole lot of things which we don't count and we look at a maintenance thing. So quality of life is definitely much improved when you move into a, it's somebody else has taken care of all those things already. In Delhi, you have to struggle for all that. And you have a club membership in Delhi, South Delhi.
That's why he doesn't want to move out.
That's why. No? So that's your factor.
No, but let me tell you, I know people who moved from Delhi to Noida in our condos. पहले तो वो आने को राजी नहीं थे. क्यों? दिल्ली से नोएडा जाएंगे, गांव में जाएंगे, जाके रहेंगे. But then when they started living there, today they come and thank me. I used to push them. I said, it's a lovely apartment you've got here. आपने किराए पे दे रखा है, खुद रहिए इसमें. So when they started living there, एक साल बाद, I recently met an old couple, and they said the best. They were living in Mandakini in GK2. They said the best part of our lives has begun now. It's such a nice compliment to hear from them. They said, दिल्ली, मैंने कहा आपको दिल्ली दूर नहीं, आपके सारे दोस्त जीके में. कहते अभी आधा घंटा तो लगता है. It's just here. Very good. So Varun, let me tell you, Gurgaon and Noida are not so bad as you perceive them to be. The law and order, it's not like, it's a perception, unfortunately. What happens is, like, suppose there's an incident in Dadri. News आती है, crime in Noida. वो पूरा नोएडा कवर कर लेते हैं दादरी को, और बुलंदशहर में होगा वो भी कहेंगे close to Noida. So it's not so bad, and the same goes for Gurgaon. There are incidents, unfortunately, even in Delhi, even in Gurgaon, even in Noida. I'm not saying there's no crime, but the perception is wrong. It's not as bad as it is perceived to be. Sir, you wanted to say something?
Essentially, the debate is perennial. As you said, there can't be any, end to this. It's all, individualistic. I can give you example of extreme. I grew up many years. I spent in Bombay, Mumbai. And the best part is when the kids were small. You remember we all used to say, send the children to a hostel. They learn so much.
Correct.
That's what they learn in the cooperative living.
Oh, how's that?
Because they grow together, as some of the aspects you were saying. They fight together, they live together, they make friends, they swim together, and what have you.
It's like living in the hostel.
That's the hostel. So it's a great corporate living. Me and you probably do
and
not.
And the dads feel they're in hostel again. खुद बैठ के एक दूसरे के घर में बियर पीते रहते हैं बैठ के.
और काम करते रहते.
That's good. That's good.
Now I have the extreme. I chose to live in a what you call the floor called very infamous place called Scenic Farms.
Acha.
And I chose.
How do you find living in Scenic Farms?
Again, individualistic, great, because to me, growing my flowers and keeping my dogs is important.
So you have small children?
I don't have small children; they're grown up now.
That's why you're enjoying Scenic Farms.
But you struggle. You must have 5 service staff minimum. And though electricity problems are all gone,
so it's expensive. It's expensive.
It's expensive.
Very expensive. You need your own generators, I believe.
Not now. 7 years ago, yes.
But in every bungalow, we do need generators. Varun, do you have what do you do for power backup? You're lucky.
It's individualistic, but yet I admire. Can I also go and live in a condo and apartment, 70th floor and 60th floor and so on?
So you're spoiled, sir. You won't be able to live in a condo.
So this debate will continue.
One sec, Behal. There's some gentleman over there.
Hi, good afternoon to everyone. I'm Prahlad. I run my own company, Happy Homes. My question to you is, before 10 years, it was just 4 walls, which was called home. Now it is about swimming pool and the rest of the amenities like clubhouse and all. How do you see the homes after 5 to 10 years? What all additional things can be make the difference?
That's a very good question. I keep thinking this. अभी सब कुछ तो दे दिया. अब इसके बाद अब क्या दे? What new can we give?
Yeah.
So if you ask me as a developer, what we are doing now is we're moving to technology. We are making these homes more technology friendly. So we've come up with this new concept where You can operate like in the West, in your condo, you can operate the air conditioner from your cell phone. So in our complexes, we are trying to do that now. So this is the only way we can, how many swimming pools can you get? How much power backup? How many clubs? You can just make the club better. You can make the swimming pool bigger. You can put in a jacuzzi. But what more can you do? So it's something that keeps bothering us all the time. How to better ourselves. So should I throw this question to the panel here? People
yeah, anyone on this floor.
Okay, Sahil will take it from you. It's a very difficult question to answer because we haven't got the answer ourselves.
But I have one answer. I think probably something that I am personally very passionate about is the green developments. And I think people have started realizing the importance of green. We still do not know what's in green completely as far as the information knowledge is concerned. I think the next 5 years would be a tipping point in the green aspect of buildings because there is a lot of import of knowledge which is happening from the West. There are a lot of institutes now which are coming up, a lot of architects, a lot of engineers who are now looking at green in a different manner. And if you look at it in a more exhaustive manner, then it is a win-win situation for the developers and also for the customers. And I think there's also something for the society because you're looking after the environment. So next 5 years, if we can, we certainly would move in that direction, and hopefully, my friends over here would also agree with that.
No, his question is, green to aapne kar liya, ab aur kya kar rahe ho? Like that.
Green nahi hai na, is not to that extent. That's what I'm saying. That how many developments can you call green today, Nitabar? So I'm not talking about green just getting a certification. I'm saying when it translates into the benefits of
in power saving and other things. Prashant.
I think I agree with what Gitambar said. I think one of the main areas is going to be in technology, where you have smart home concepts are coming up.
Smart homes is what we're looking at.
That's one area, and as Sahil also said, green buildings or green homes is another very important area that we could develop in. But I think if you take one step ahead, as I said earlier, that as the industry is growing and getting more professional and different type of products are coming out, it's becoming more of a quasi-hospitality and services type of a sector. I think gradually you're going to have more and more services in your complexes. You might have some more entertainment. For example, today we have clubs. So, so we have sporting facilities, we have some retail. Maybe there could be some component of entertainment or something where to keep people more engaged in their complex that they wouldn't really need to even go out anywhere. I had this idea of, like, for example, for children, apart from just playing grounds and things like that, you could have, you have a lot of green space in these group housing complexes. You could have a kind of a kitchen garden kind of a thing. You could have some kind of training for children to keep them conscious about the environment and things like that. So these are just ideas that you keep coming out with that you can, you can put in your projects. And you'll have more specialized housing. For example, you'll have more senior citizen focused projects. You might have projects where you can have facilities for people who have special needs. For example, you can bring in more of universal design into your homes. For people, if people are visually impaired or they have a problem walking or something like that, or for senior citizens. So you can create homes that are more universal in their design. So I think that's the way things will move ahead.
So why don't you tell us what you expect us to do better?
No, these days I'm pitching into various clients. So
you're in the business of?
Yeah, I'm into business of selling flats. Air Force
so
clients.
Tell us what more can we do after we've done what we've done?
As I said, till now we were generally developing something, maybe focused particularly to old age people. Like recently DD has come up with senior citizen homes, and then maybe for specially abled
people
guys.
Don't like the word old age. I wouldn't like to stay in an old age home. I don't feel I'll ever go old, So, but we've tried that. People don't like that word. The old age homes is like, अब तो यार अब तुम्हारा time आ गया जाने का. उधर बैठो. Wait for the train. It's like that. So they don't like that word.
Maybe people with similar kind of interest. Maybe if someone is interested in aero modeling, you can create.
So we can have.
You can call them golden citizens, huh? Like old
yes,
is gold.
Of course.
So.
Yeah.
No, you can have vocational classes. You mean?
Exactly.
But there's no end to that. No, but in the product per se, in the product, what more can we do? Is something which is a challenge even to us. Behel Saab, like you wanted to ask, can we have the mic here?
Yeah, sure.
Yes. I haven't understood your question. Can you be more? Investors funding high-rise, which investors are we talking of? The investors are equally beneath?
See, I think there are two aspects to it. If you look at how things have happened in the investor, or per se, if you're specifically talking about a FDI investor space, we've had, there've been issues which we keep hearing, or probably if you talk about a low rise, if you're talking about a typical bungalow kind of developments, there the ticket sizes are very high. Because gradually, I think what is happening, or what's going to happen next 5 years, 10 years, is that luxury has shifted from bungalow to apartments. Luxury is going to be having a 7,000 square feet apartment, a 6,000. Bungalows, probably low-rise developments will probably just get reduced to affordable housing. Because affordable housing, you have a challenge of cost of construction, so the low-rise fit in somewhere there, probably 10, 20, 30 kilometers outside the city. So from an investor's perspective, in the earlier times, in the low-rise bungalow, there was some transparency issues. There have always been issues around which were not nice. And secondly, on the high-rise, what happens is you are catering to a more, if you look at the pyramid, the investor obviously gets a better return if he's lower the pyramid, So when you go really top, you're talking about a very limited market segment, and you're prone to all these ups and downs of market. Like for us, we focus on middle income because we feel it's an evergreen segment. So for middle income, when I look at the product, I automatically come at a high rise when it comes to NCR. But if I go to Amritsar, I have to do a low rise. So investor is more keen on protecting his investment, looking at his returns, rather than product type. Product type is just, it comes out of the business plan, I would say.
So I think
on your question, so Mr. Anand, you were asking us, what more can we suggest?
Please.
Now, to be green is ultimate. But prior to that, the low-hanging fruit is what at least I feel we do not do, which we must do, is this solar power for all high-rise.
We are doing it to an extent, sir.
Yes, some I would do, but
we are doing it because whenever we take the MOEF clearance, we are required to do it anyway.
Yes.
But we are doing it in a limited way. But going forward, I was seeing in the West, a lot of hotels, like even the Marina Bay Sands in Singapore.
Yes.
He's got these small solar discs when you enter the hotel, and the whole building is using solar power. So abhi hum us stage pe aaye nahi because we are limited by cost. Because even today, when we sell at 5,000 rupees a square foot or 5,500 rupees a square foot, we are called expensive, unaffordable. So we have to keep working on that cost angle. So the minute we do these things, there'll be an incremental cost. There'll be an increase in the cost of the end product.
No, I'm sure you've done the sums, but I'm saying if I were to do
it's a very good suggestion, sir. We are working with government to give us subsidy on solar power, and we'll put it. So I hope the powers that we are listening, and we are very, very, very open to it as an industry. No, but they're using it's an amalgamation of things. So you wanted to say something?
I just want to say one thing, just to add to what Gitamar said. See, I think the problem that we have right now on the green is not from the developer side. We are willing to make that kind of investment. It's coming from the customer side. The gestation period for the payback of a green is 3 years as an end user. But unfortunately, a lot of people do not realize that. And Gitamar pointed out that if you raise the price by 500 rupees a foot, then you suddenly see a dip in your sales. So the differentiation is not a problem of just India, it's a problem of West as well. So across the globe, today people want cheap stuff, and the comparison is to the next project which is there next door to you. So if I make a green building and somebody else makes a different building and my building is more expensive, I may lose some of my customers to the other building. So that's why I said that it's about a 5-year process where I would see a tipping point where people would understand the benefits of green, and then everybody will move in the same direction.
Great. So I think we are done. I think we can take one more question. Varun, you've had your day. I think the lady over there.
Hi, I'm Manisha Bhartia. I'm an architect with PDP.
Can you keep the mic closer, please?
Yeah. My question is, we were talking about bungalows and high-rises. One of the biggest advantages of bungalows is that it affords you the flexibility to do up the house the way you want. while high-rises don't give you that.
No, I don't agree with you. You can do your house the way you want, even in a high-rise.
Not from inside, I'm talking about interior planning. So I imagine there would be a market for flexibility even within high-rises. And is this something that you as developers have considered or explored to give customers different plan types or to allow them in small ways to change the elevation? It's done all over the world. So
to change the elevation?
Yeah.
No.
Yes, it is. There are examples.
I don't subscribe to it personally to change. See, I'll tell you, what is being done is developers are now giving something called a cold shell and a warm shell even to residential developments. So they're saying, आप अपना घर हम आपको structure बना के दे देंगे और ये इतने रुपए का है, इसके अंदर आप अपने हिसाब से जो आप बनाना चाहें कीजिए. So the practical problem in that is that you are staying, suppose you've done your house, you've moved in, you're the first person to move in, आपने अपना सारा घर बना लिया और आप 3rd floor पे रह रहे हैं. आपके ऊपर 4th floor वाला कहता है मेरे को तो अभी ज़रूरत नहीं है, मैं आऊँगा 1 साल बाद. So the developer says, no, you have to finish in a specified timeline. That's how DLF also does. But people, being people, they say, no, we'll do it when we want to. So you're staying niche, upar, then he starts his work. And he puts the marble and there's thak every day, then he starts grinding the marble. It's a nuisance for the person living below, living on top, for the whole tower, it becomes such a nuisance. So there, it can be done, but it has its own disadvantages, its own practical problems. There are limitations as far as that goes. We cannot allow changes structurally inside an apartment because there are beams and columns which cannot be touched. They are so sacrosanct and sanctimonious that if you touch a beam in my building, I go livid. Okay, you are actually jeopardizing the whole structure. So you can change the walls and all, people do that all the time. And you can do your interiors. Yes, you cannot do it like you would do it in your bungalow, but let me make an interesting point here. There was a survey, we guys, when we make a high-rise building, we have to ensure that the structure is vetted by an IIT or an equivalent institution after you submit it to the sanctioning authority, that is earthquake resistant. It subscribes to seismic zone 4. That's why we are in Delhi and Gurgaon and Noida. So, surprisingly, the same does not apply to you if you were to make a bungalow. So when the earthquake happened in Bhuj, most of the destruction happened in these low-rise bungalows. Because nobody was making the houses for, the structure was not conforming to an earthquake zone. The good news is that we guys are. So God forbid or aisa na ho, aisa kabhi ho, so these buildings are much safer because they have conformed to the requirements of this seismic zone. Believe it or not. I think we are done for the day. We don't have much time. And thank you, audience. You've been a great audience. And thank you, panel. Thank you, Neeraj. Thank you, Shakti. Thank you, Vineet and Prashant and Sahil. Thank you very much for your time. And thank you for listening to us patiently. Thank you very much.